All right, everybody, what's happening? Welcome to Earth Science. I'm going to assume you did this first. At least try some of them. If you got confused on some of them, that's okay. Some of these get harder. Otherwise, this video is kind of useless, right? Just give it a go, and then come on back and watch this. So what do we got here? And this, again, I told you in the notes, this is what they'll look like, where you got to give me what happened first, what happened second, what happened third. So on this one, the usual like tempting thing you want to do is to go down to the bottom and start from the bottom to the top. But in this one, this contact metamorphism all over the place confuses that a little bit. The oldest one is actually going to be C because of two reasons. One, A is an igneous intrusion and it went through contact metamorphism here in C because of the heat from A, but that means C had to already exist. And that's the idea of like when I cut up the piece of paper, I said, what was first? Did this get cut into pieces or was it manufactured? C had to be there in order to go through this contact metamorphism. So A came in later. Another, and I didn't really do this in the notes, is this idea of inclusions. If A melted its way in, but broke a couple pieces of C off into it, again, C must have existed at the time. Okay. Next, A. And last, B. And I know that because B cuts across A and does that contact metamorphism in A. So A had to exist. Cross-cutting relationships. All right, what do we got down here? I would say that my oldest is going to be E. And then the igneous intrusion happened, which is why there's contact metamorphism in it. So the next is B. And now CDA, right? 3 sedimentary layers. Now, what I would like to note is that there really should be one more thing in here. I borrowed this one off the internet when I was homesick with my son here. So there really should be, if you really paid attention closely to the notes, one more step in there where we would write erosion. You see how the line's kind of like wavy right here? That's an indication that there's an unconformity. So erosion took place, wiping out the top of E or anything else that might have been on top of that, the top of B or anything else that might have been on top of that, wiped the slate clean, and then 3 new layers got put on the top. If you're anywhere in that ballpark, you're probably sitting pretty. All right, pretty easy one. This should have been the first one we did. Go down to the bottom, sedimentary layers, work your way up. C, E, that's what an E looks like. D, that's what a D looks like. B, and then the igneous intrusion A would have come in after all of those because it cuts across all of them. That one's easy. That should have been the first one. All right, getting harder. All right, big mess here. What do we got? I'm going to go with the first 3 things that would have had to have happened. And again, I know it's tempting to say I want to go down to the bottom and do that first. But cross-cutting and that's going to make me say that B, C, D is first. And then, and this is going to be, I might use a few more lines because again, like I said in the notes, I see that these have like kind of that big wavy pattern to them. So that would be where we insert folding. In fact, I know I'm going to use more spaces. So what I'll do is just write it right here. Now again, if you miss like little bits of this, but you're getting the main part of it, then you're probably going to be okay. So B, C, D, and then folding, which makes it look that kind of wavy pattern. And then I'm going to go A is next. Because I see this fault, and this fault cuts through A. So A had to be there first. So then next would be the fault. Now, sometimes they're labeled. This one is labeled M. Other times, you would have to write the word fault. Either way, both good. All right. Then, now this would be another one where there should be an unconformity here. This should be kind of wavy. And if you didn't, that'd be like expert level to spot that. So if you spotted that, then you're very strong in this. If not, that's okay. So next would be E, F, G. Then we've got that original horizontality rule again. These are all tilted. And this really should be a wavy line too. So after G, we would have tilting, and then erosion. And then we could go with H. And in fact, you know what we should do one also? Look at it's a surface. Might there have been other rock on top of H? I mean, if this looks like a river valley right here, it's currently eroding. There's some rock that's being worn away right there. So the last event really also should be erosion. But again, if you just did the letters and you got them in about that order, you're going to be good. We don't need to drive ourselves too crazy this year. All right, two more. All right, these are cool ones because you might say, well, sorry, where's the other half of this? So what you'd have to see is that C is like down, A is like down. So G is at the bottom, therefore the oldest. Then we work our way up the section with C right on top of G, and with A right on top of that. And then even though it's missing over here, unit F is on top of A. Now it's missing over here because of erosion. So what do we got to do? The erosion cuts across the fault. So the first is going to be the fault B. Then erosion cuts the top of that off. And again, because I'm writing these words in here, I do it differently than this teacher does. We'll run out of spaces, but this is going to be okay. So erosion basically cut that off flat. Then we can deposit everything on top of it, which looks like it's going to be H, then D, and then notice over here, H, then D, then I. So we got HDI. And then this fault cuts across all of that stuff. So that fault must be last. I don't really see anything indicating this is the surface, so we're not going to say erosion's last. What do you think? I mean, they're kind of neat because they're like puzzles, you know, they're fun to figure out. Now, this one, they didn't label every single layer. So if you got to that and said, well, what the heck? I guess we could just do the letters they gave us in order, which would be C. And then the unconformity, B, the buried erosional surface. And I guess E is pointing to this layer here. And then I'm going to go D, and then A. So of the ones they gave us, that's it. Now what it really should be is like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 3. 5, and then a tilt, and then some erosion, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then more tilting, and then more erosion. That's more complicated. But again, if I haven't said it enough, if you're getting some of the basics down, if you can roughly put those in order, roughly get at least the letter parts of these ones in order, you're going to be just fine. So thanks for sticking with it. Keep up the fights. Year's going fast, folks. We'll get this done soon. Appreciate your patience.